So, Steve, as we finish up our conversation today, we do a lot of work with that 3 to 5 years out, all the way through transition for dental practice owners who are wanting to sell their practice, and of course have what we call max exit. They want to be as successful with the handoff as possible, receive the greatest reward for the efforts that they've poured into it over time. I know that those dentists, those practice owners are really at their top of their game, uh, that's impacted by their leadership and their stewardship of their practice. Why don't you share just some closing thoughts about how that impacts performance and transition and all of those things from your perspective and years of seeing this much more up close than I do?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Rusty. So you're using the terms leadership and stewardship, and those are both very good and appropriate terms. I'm going to modify that a little bit to say leadership and management,
Hmm.
because in stewardship, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being good stewards of what we have, managing those things in such a
Right.
way that they grow or they flourish or they provide, real life satisfaction. So I'm going to talk about leadership and management. Ken Blanchard, who wrote The 1 Minute Manager and is author of something called situational leadership, that's been highly
Hmm.
successful for decades. He says that leadership and management are really two sides of the same coin, and and I believe that's so true. Uh, few are the dentists who could honestly say they only lead and someone else manages.
Hmm.
The
Right.
nature of most dental practices is that while we acknowledge the owner is the key leader, we understand that this leader lives and works in very close proximity to all that's going on, and it's hard to escape being a manager. So it's
Hmm.
leadership and it's management.
Hmm.
So leadership reduces that key person risk we talked about.
Right.
When knowledge gets documented and shared, the practice becomes resilient. And when it isn't, one departure can destabilize the entire operation. So it's a matter of leadership. And then all of that ties into long-term value. Buyers, they don't just evaluate revenue, they evaluate systems. Predictability is big, and transferability. So a well-led practice runs on processes, not personality. And in that sense, leadership creates financial optionality tomorrow. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading correctly, I'm giving myself a number of good options tomorrow. It gives the owner the ability to scale, to slow down, to sell, and to do all that on their own terms rather than be forced into a decision by operational strain. Now, on the other side, that management part, remember, leadership's one side of the coin, management is the other, or we'll call it stewardship. And
Hmm.
that's the day to day expression of responsibility over what's been entrusted to you, your time, your people, your systems, and then even opportunity. So, stewardship shows up in how a practice or an owner manages time, and attention to the details that are going on. So instead of allowing inefficiencies to consume the doctor and the team, stewardship means building systems to protect it. Clean schedules, accurate verification, streamlined financial processes. Time reclaimed from chaos can be reinvested into patient care, team development, or even strategic growth. So, stewardship involves developing and multiplying people. And so, you don't want your practice to rely on one hero.
Right.
You need your training to be intentional, your knowledge to be documented, and team members then get equipped to grow in skill and to grow in responsibility. So that reduces the fragile nature of the practice that you're handing off. So here's the big point: systems and performance will always lag in an environment that's not primed with team development. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not focusing on developing your team, you are going to be not focusing on systems. You're going to be not focusing on performance. The stewardship of the people requires that we have clear systems so they know the boundaries for operating and we can
Right.
have success at the next level. But if systems are all over the place, the development of people is going to get exponentially complicated. So, in my mind, systems and stewardship go hand in hand. The systems are the things that allow us to make the most contribution to our team, to our growth, our scalability. All of those things work together so that we can manage the the resources that have been brought to us. Okay, so stewardship, lastly, maybe is financial integrity that we have and the follow through on behalf of the patient. That's that would be what I would say is a good definition of stewardship for a dental practice. Doing the financial things with integrity and following through on behalf of the patients because it's the patients we serve, right? And then that stewardship aligns with the future. A practice that is, when you do those things, the practice that is stewarded well, managed well, is easier to transition tomorrow. Clean systems, reliable data, and a capable team create those options, whether that means expansion or a partnership or even an exit. Stewardship does that. And so when we think of a steward, we think of one who, when all is said and done, has been found faithful. Faithful with the people they've been given, faithful to take care of the patients that have come their way, faithful to handle the financial things. So when a person looks in at a dental practice and makes an evaluation of that, yes, the doctor's name is over it, but what they're trying to decide as a consumer is this a place I can trust? And if the overwhelming um, appraisal of patients is this is a trustworthy practice, that's going to be the overwhelming appraisal of a potential buyer or
Mm.
someone that's coming in to be a partner in the practice because it's something that can be trusted. So we need to lead, we need to put the right people in the right places, but we need to manage well. We need to steward well, and that is to give them the right things, the right tools, so they can do their jobs, do them effectively, and the needle does get moved forward. So, um, stewardship answers a simple but weighty question, I think, and that is, am I managing this practice in a way that multiplies its value over time? And if the answer to that is yes, then both the present and the future are strengthened.